more critically, we need to keep communicating. Communicating that is both ways. You hear from the communities, you hear from the local leaders, the local institutions, and then also feedback, respond to those needs. Capacity development, can we go next slide, please? Oh, I have finished the second slide of finance. I've spoken to this already, so follow what I'm saying and you see which slide to bring forward. That's why I prefer moving my own slides. Okay, so looking at capacity development. Issues of capacity development, and Uganda, you have done very well. I think it's one of the countries with very high education or higher education rates. You know, I think it's even better than my country, Zambia. You know, you have so many doctors, you have so many degree holders, you have so many educated people. But we want to see that translated into results. We should not be having Gitezi with so many doctorates. We should not be having Gitezis and those floods with so many. Let that translate into action, into results, in making a difference on the ground. And therefore, capacity development, that's on the human resource side. We also need to address the capacity development of institutions. These institutions must be able to deliver, give results, you know, results that are verified. I want to insist on that. You know, we don't want reports generated to say, no, we have done 100% of this. No, is it verified by a professional? You know, and that way we will say the capacity is good. The capacity of systems, you know, we're talking about science and technology. Shortly I'll be talking about that. You know, how much uptake of science and technology in our capacity development programs, in the institutions, in the human development, in the systems development. We need to be up to date. You know, I should be able to pay my bills through the phone. I should be able to do all my querying over the phone. I don't have to drive to the company. Again, this is all part of that capacity development that we have to look at it. So the competence-based approach, yes, as much as there are so many degrees, how have we fared in terms of the lower cadres, the operationals? Do we have programs where you can have and be sure, and I might be a little bit biased, but I've worked on the continent almost in every country. The competence-based approach that the Germans use, the Belgians use, as well as the French, is very effective in getting results on the ground. You know, North Africa has applied a lot of it. Morocco, Tunisia, you find very competent technicians that are making a difference. I think sometimes I feel that we need to tone down a little bit on the degrees and also look at the competence of craftsmen, the competence of technicians, because that's where the difference is going to be. You know, then we'll not fail to unblock drainages. We will not fail to control these floods that have been, and it's not only Uganda, by the way. These floods are everywhere. I look at that and I say, yeah, okay, but we have so many degrees sitting in offices that cannot make that difference. You know, capacity development must be relevant. You know, it must be addressing the needs that we are facing. Otherwise, it becomes irrelevant. Can we move to the next one? So capacity building must lead to transformation. It must be transformational. And then the people, the public will appreciate that, yes, we have educated people in this country. Innovations in technology and service delivery, I've made reference to this. We need to have a comprehensive outlook, you know, and understand what incentives can we put in place for the adoption of technology. By the way, adoption of technology and science brings down costs, raises efficiency, and helps in reducing the numbers of people that we might need on the ground. But we need incentives for taking up new technologies. and there is need for strong leadership. The academia world needs to stand up, the researchers need to come up and say, look, this is what we are finding, let us forge hands. This forum is very important because we can use this in ensuring that we bring down the cost of water. You know, we bring down and that there is value in the business that we are providing. The quality of service. You know, today we should not be having intermittent supply of water. There has to be increased value. And by the way, social media is going to make everyone wake up, because when there is a problem, it will just go on social media. Here there is this, and here a photo is taken. What are you going to do? The evidence is already there. So the role of government, researchers, private sector needs to be fully exploited, and community-led initiative studied and improved upon, you know, ensuring that there is the right policy framework, there is sustainability, and strong partnerships, you know. Let this forum be the basis for that. Digitalization helps to increase efficiency, and that there is data-based decision-making system, and there is scalability for innovation and sustainability of in these technologies that we provide in. Lastly, but very, very critical and very important, inclusiveness. What's our understanding of inclusiveness? You know, of course, I know we think of things like this, the poor, the needy, but even in Kampala, we need to understand inclusiveness. You know, with what is happening, with the intermittent supply of water, water shortages in many places, inclusiveness. The slide I want is inclusiveness. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move together. So, you see that if these institutions that are providing these facilities, you put a human face to the needs out there, your approach is going to be different, you know. But because oftentimes you go into these organizations and in the institutions, you'll be told, no, those people, they vandalize facilities. No, these people, you know, you put a label on them, you know, but they are suffering. Why are they vandalizing? Because they don't have access, direct access, you know. Put a human face. Go through, understand what they go through. You know, for 3 days, no water supply, you know, and you will then appreciate and see the need for you to step up to see that you provide those services, that there is a clean environment where they are staying, and you don't, no one needs a dump site next to their home. You know, the smell, the nuisance of vectors, pests, and all those things, you know, but when you are in the offices, you want to say, no, they encroached, they did this. No, the enforcement must be applied. Solutions must be provided, and ensuring that we fuel that passion for making a difference in these communities. So it's key to drive the commitments, get the resources mobilized, and inclusiveness must be mainstreamed. It should not be a one-off thing. Oh, we served that community. No. When you are planning, when you are designing, you need to ensure that it's all inclusive, you know. Are there people there that do not have any service? Are there people that cannot pay for the connectivity? Connect them, they'll be paying along the way, or can others subsidize them to get them connected? Mainstreaming of inclusiveness is the solution, and we'll have resolved everything. Let me conclude. Okay, please, next slide, I'm concluding now. So, we need to strengthen institutions. Now, what do I mean by that? Institutions' responsibility, institutions' accountability, you know? And institutions must respond to the political economy. Whether you are in government, whether you are an NGO, you are within a political economy environment. You must understand what you are doing in water, what you are doing in the environment has got a political and economic connotation That's the only way water and the environment are going to contribute to the prosperity of the country. Understand that, otherwise you're out of business. You need to strengthen the professional accountability and ensure that the incentives, build incentives, propose incentives for the uptake of science and technology. We can leapfrog. We have seen this. The Asian tigers, what did they do? They applied technology. They used technology to leapfrog, and now they are way, way ahead. Our delivery capacity, we must improve it. Let us leverage youth innovation. Do we have youths here? I saw some group of young people, but do we have youths from universities? We need to engage them. They are very handy in helping in increasing innovation. Decentralized approach. As far as I see it, Kampala has become an elephant. You cannot swallow it at once. You need to subdivide it, and manage it within the capacity that we have. If you say, no, one person manages Kampala, you cannot make it. It's an elephant now. It's too big. The logistics is too complicated. So look at decentralization approaches, management capacities, and let partnerships work for you. You have a lot of good NGOs and good solutions that can come forward. Ensure that you exploit these and bring them to scale and let them have impact on the ground. Capacity development must be transformational. Let us seize the opportunities of all these things that happen to ensure that we mainstream inclusiveness. I want to thank you and wish you well for the rest of the week.
Mr. Oswald deserves a bigger round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I would do injustice if I try to reiterate some of the things that he has said, but one thing for sure is that while we're talking about protection of the environment, water, and resources, no one should be left behind, just as the SDGs do remind us that we have to be moving together. We're leaving no one behind because everyone is impacted, young, old, poor, rich, everyone is going to be impacted, especially when it comes to issues like climate change. When he mentioned the 3 key aspects that he did start with, climate change, the population growth. We know that averagely every Ugandan woman has about 4 children at least. Looking at the growth rate that we are having and remembering that Uganda's population is 51% women, you know what exactly that means when it comes to the population later in the years. But also he speaks about the need for technology. I mean, we cannot overemphasize that because it's very, very important both in planning and mitigation and in every aspect. I do not want to take up more time. I know that our chief guest is not too far away from us and we'd like to have a second keynote address before we get to have her. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me now invite a member of the Executive Board of the National Planning Authority. He is also formerly a member of Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stephen Birahwa Mkitale Adieri. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes.
Thank you, Mildred. Thank you so much, Minister of Water and Environment, for yet another Water Week with very good participation and inclusion, where